This time. Oh, I feel like it's going to work, Ben. I feel like YouTube might work this time. Oh, and it did. Yes. That is success.
Except you froze. Oh, wait. No, you're not froze.
We're live.
Maybe it's me.
We're finally live on YouTube. We even tried to go live. Not that we let anyone know we were going to. We're seeing how many people, it's a test to see how many people have their active subscriptions on that they get notifications when we do a show or something like that. No, it's not really. We just didn't have a lot of time to plan today, but here we are. We're doing our show. If you don't catch it live, that's cool. You can catch it later. And we're going to talk about the Packers' recent game, some interesting things we noticed, and we got to talk a little bit around the NFL, Ben, because there are some cool things and interesting things from the NFL. And I think I know who your new favorite team is going to be if you haven't declared that yet. I'm also wearing the white V-neck t-shirt for Dad tonight. So we have that too. Ben, can you I sent you the list, so you already know. First of all, what do we have? It's a birthday. It's a birthday for Viking Mo. Happy birthday, Viking Mo. I'm sorry the Vikings couldn't make it a good birthday for you, but hopefully it was a good birthday anyway. Viking Mo, cheers to you, buddy.
Yeah, it's sad for him because
I know.
Vikings sucked, but it's nice for him because he played me in fantasy football this weekend. And as you know, I went to Wisconsin this weekend. I went to go visit Nick. I haven't seen him in a year. Watched the Packer game with them. Hung out on Saturday a little bit. And right before the game, we were both setting up our starting lineups. And I had Adam Thielen in my starting lineup. And I was like, I really got to feel about Henry Ruggs. I should start Henry Ruggs. But I kind of want to double dip with DJ Chark and Gardner Minshew. So I'm like, I got to do it. But I don't know who to not start if I start Henry Ruggs. And Nichols like, you're starting Thielen today? And I was like, yeah, he's my second round pick, and he's really, really good, and they have nothing else. And let's face it, the Packers defense is kind of suspect at times. And I'm expecting the Packers to score a bunch of points, so they're going to have to pass a lot against us. So, yeah, I'm starting Thielen today. And he's like, you can't start Thielen against the Packers. And somehow, my stupid brain listened to Nick. He convinced me to not start Adam Thielen and start Henry Ruggs instead. And Adam Thielen scored 32 freaking points on my bench. And I lost to Mo by 4 points. And Adam Thielen outscored Ruggs by 20-something points. So I would have beaten Mo by at least 16 points. But because I didn't start Adam Thielen, thanks to Nico, Mo gets the win. So happy birthday, Mo, from Nico and from me, because I listened to his dumb butt.
Mo certainly did not crush you the way he was bragging about on Friday night. It was very, very close. And you're right. If you had just started hey, who do you think? What are you, Brian Gutekunst in the Packers? Your second round pick and your first round pick, you just don't even use them? Like, come on, man. Come on. Look, if you would have,
I don't know.
If you would have reached out if you would have said something to me about that before, I could have warned you that Nico always does that. Because he always does it. He does that to me too. And he's like, oh, you can't start that guy. They're playing the Packers. I'm like, dude, have you watched the Packers defense? I'm starting him because he's going to have a good game. And they usually do have a good game. So Nick goes, he wants to believe that the Packers defense is going to stop people, but they're not going to. So start your guys, man. Start your guys. That's a bummer.
No.
I ended up
got a loss. It's nothing new.
I ended up losing as well. And however, I started all the right people, but there's nothing I could have done about it other than really wished that the Steelers defense wasn't so damn good because they destroyed the Giants and Saquon Barkley had nothing. So that killed me. If I would have got a little out of him, I had a chance, but nope. No. So glad I kept him and not Devontae Adams. Now, you gave me crap because I drafted DeAndre Hopkins instead of Adams. But DeAndre Hopkins also had a great game. He was great. And he had just as many catches as Adams and one less target. So
not as many yards.
I know he had almost the equal amount of yards. He just had no touchdowns, and Adams had 2 touchdowns, so that was the difference. But he still had a great game. I'm still okay with that,
Well,
and I also think the Eckes factor is involved for Adams having such a huge day.
the thing I was going to say is Devontae Adams is not in the top 20 wide receivers on Chris Sims' wide receiver list, but the DeAndre Hopkins is like number 2 or 1. Yet they both had 14 catches. Devontae had more yards and 2 touchdowns, and Hopkins had 0 touchdowns. So who's the better player? Devontae. Sorry. Now I know you got Aaron Rodgers and you got Kyler Murray, and Aaron Rodgers is 1,000 times better passer than Kyler Murray, but still, Devontae Adams. Okay, back to you.
Hey, you think Devontae Adams and I mean, I know they say they have all their own motivation already and all this sort of stuff, but come on, you don't think those guys have a little extra motivation with as much as people talk them down this offseason? They're carrying a little extra for sure, and that's good. That just helps.
Well, he tweet after he wasn't on Chris Sims' top 10 wide receivers. He tweeted to him. He's like, "Whatever, dude. Just as he said it, he called it a garbage list." And I mean, AJ Green was number 7 on Chris Sims' top 10 receivers of 2020. The guy who didn't play all last year. I mean, I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't. Whatever. I don't get it. How about if we recap this awesome Packer win here? And
Hold on. There's a couple other NFL related things. Then we'll get into the Packers here. One is because this leads me right into it. We were talking about garbage from these lists with people totally out of order. How about that Brady Breeze matchup, including both those guys in the top 100 ahead of Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers lit him up, and those guys look like trash. So Drew Brees, the only guy he could throw the ball to was Jared Cook. And he
threw to Kamara too.
Yeah, Kamara. He can throw to his running back. And Brady, dude, did you see how many times? Do you know how many long pass interference calls Brady got in the game? And they still lost, by the way. Tampa Bay lost.
I didn't watch the game. I was driving back to Minnesota from Wisconsin. So.
I did not watch the game. I saw the highlights. They're all in the highlights because those were the plays. Those got them scoring. Those were all scoring drives because he would hit. Tom Brady's best attribute is the fact that he can underthrow deep passes all the time because that's what happened. And he got calls on 3 of them. He got 3 deep PIs and 1 more he complained about and at least didn't get that one. But 3 other ones, they got PIs, and it's all because Brady stinks at throwing the ball. And that's their best offensive play. So Tampa Bay, you guys suck. Bruce Arians is like one of the jerkiest coaches in the whole league. So you get what you deserve. And Gronk looked terrible. Gronk looked like a guy who hadn't played football in a long time. Looked like a guy who should have stayed retired. He looked slow. He didn't look tough. He didn't look fast. So I'm hopeful that all these washed up, the Tampa Bay has become the Patriots South because, they got Leonard Fournette and, they signed JPP and they got all these guys that are problem guys. They're like, we'll just come in here and win, play for a championship because we got Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, even though he's not very good at throwing the ball or getting away from people. That was the other thing. Drew Brees really struggled getting away from people, which he normally does. But hey, first offensive play of the game, though, they went to Taysom Hill. They did some other stuff with Taysom Hill, and Taysom Hill is at least a shot in the arm for their offense, and that goes to coaching. Sean Payton, smart enough to recognize a good athlete and put him in the game and use him. One other note, Ben. Okay, so that was the Brady Breeze thing. You don't even have to say anything about it because they're just old and bad. Somehow they're both ranked higher than Aaron Rodgers on a bunch of quarterback lists and all this other nonsense. But before we get into the other stuff, I got to say this.
Hey, I got something to say.
Oh, about those guys?
Blabber?
Oh, well, hey, I want to get on with that and be done with it. Go ahead.
Bernard's in the chat. What's up, bro? I got my phone on so I can see what's going on.
Sorry, man. Sorry, Bernard. I wasn't even paying attention.
I had a couple of things I was going to say about Aaron Rodgers' game, and comparing him to Brady and Breeze are actually perfect in all. the things you just said to show how much better and awesome Aaron Rodgers is compared to Brees and Brady. There's two stats or two things. That's not really stat, whatever. In the first 10 passes, not me at the first 10, but there are 10 times in the first couple, like first quarter, second quarter of Aaron Rodgers, his average target depth was only 4.4 yards downfield. So like his receiver was only 4.4 yards downfield. So he was throwing quick balls. He said the average time of release was 1.75 seconds.
Ooh.
Which is a Drew Brees thing, right? Drew Brees is always 1, 2, 3, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom. Now, that's encouraging for me because one thing we know is we always complain about Rodgers is holding the ball, holding the ball, holding the ball, holding the ball, and all of those little sweeps, all those quick passes to the outside to Devontae and whoever else. Those were awesome, and check downs to the running back, right? You do that. You do all kinds of things. He's getting the ball out fast. He's getting the ball to open guys, which is set plays that LaFleur's calling. That's getting guys there. He's not he's not trying to wait for something else to happen. He's chewing up clock. I mean, how much time did the Packers have the clock in that first half was ridiculous. But that's one thing where he's very similar to Brees, right? However, we also saw in the game after that, later on in the game, then Rodgers goes, takes the deep shot, takes the deep shots, takes the deep shot, avoids some guys, drills at the Devontae for the touchdown, all that kind of stuff. And the difference between that is, first of all, Drew Brees only had 2 passes that were further than 5 yards downfield the whole game, apparently. One was a 20-yard pass to Jared Cook, and the other one was something else where the guy fell over. But the other thing is, you're saying good old Brady's got all these pass interference calls. When Rodgers throws the balls deep, it's just a freaking completion, like most of the time. Devontae's on the sidelines. That was a great catch. A little bit outside, but he still had, come on, it was an almost perfect pass. The pass to Scantling was a little underthrown. Scantling had to kind of wait for it because he had his guy beat pretty good. That touchdown at the end of the half, but he, held him off. The breadbasket, boom. The deep pass to Scantling on that free play, perfect pass. Scantling has a guy beat by like 3-4 yards, like right away, boom, just beat him and he was gone. Awesome. The play to Lazard, that was deep, where I guess that was not Lazard's route. When you watch it, I actually, JT O'Sullivan does a quarterback school on YouTube, and he had a video and he called it the mailbox play, where Lazard changed his route and he just put his hand up like this, like when you have letters in the mailbox to get picked up by the mailman or whatever.
Yeah, we got you.
Lazard gave him that sign like this, and then as soon as he said, "I went up," Rodgers threw it, and then of course Lazard caught it, then tripped because he's clumsy, like we've talked about in the past. But still, that was a deep pass. Then the play action deep pass to Scantling where he dropped it when he was wide butt open. That's another deep pass. All those deep passes were completed, almost perfect passes. None of them were PIs. We had no PIs, no bull crap, lucky crap like Tom Brady gets. So think about that. You got Brees and Brady. Both of them, their games are based on taking advantage of like officiating and crap like that. Rodgers in this game on Sunday was everything we want him to be. He's taking what's there. He's getting the ball out fast. But he still extended plays. He still did all that stuff. Excuse me. And just you explaining what Brady and Brees were like shows you how much better Aaron Rodgers is compared to those two guys who, for some unknown reason, were both higher up on a bunch of quarterback lists this offseason. Both Brees and Brady, especially Brees. They have Brees in the top 5 of a lot of quarterback ratings this past offseason, which I don't understand. You know me. He's not even in my top 20 quarterbacks. You know that. But still, and because he can't throw the ball more than 10 yards.
It's
like,
true.
How can you have a guy in the top 20 when he can't throw the ball more than 10 yards?
I know. They put Taysom Hill in to throw the deeper passes. That's what they do.
It's just dumb. That's just the other thing too. PFF grade on Aaron Rodgers, 96 out of 100. 96 out of 100. That's awesome. The only play I didn't agree with and pass I didn't like was the first touchdown drive, or the first drive that should have been a touchdown if they would have called a good play, where they tried to do a fade to Aaron Jones, who's 5'9", against Eric Kendricks, who's 6'1". Like, why are you calling a fade past Aaron Jones? It just was dumb. But
as weird.
That's really the only dumb play call for passing.
I just wanted to say about Jones too. The thing that's odd about that is the Jones. He's not a polished route runner. So to put him on the outside where he doesn't have a lot of field to work with. He also didn't give Rodgers a lot of room because he doesn't know how to run those routes necessarily. So unless you got him, if you had him breaking in on like a slant or something like that, I get it. But for him to try to navigate the outside like those outside receivers do so well, that just didn't make sense. But yeah, Rodgers was awesome, man. Like, that can't be overstated. I know there were other great performances in the league. Okay, Russell Wilson only had 4 incompletions and blah 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 and all this stuff. Okay, great. Russell Wilson's very
By the
good.
way,
Okay. Yeah.
Russell Wilson, they said he had 0, I repeat, 0 targets, completions, where the guys were like even remotely contested passes. Like Aaron Rod, like the deep pass to Devontae where like there's a guy on his hip and it's just perfect pass. The pass to Scantling for touchdown. I mean, they said that out of all those passes, 30, whatever, how many completions Russell Wilson had, none of them, not a single one, was a contested. Like everybody was wide but open. So I mean, who's better? A guy who can make pinpoint accurate throws on the run, all over the place, deep passes, making quick passes, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, or a guy who runs around like a crazy person and then just chucks it to guys who are wide open all the time because he's got DK Metcalf, who's a freaking freak of nature, and Lockett, who's super fast. I'll take Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
I was wrong in my quarterback ring, and I had Russell Wilson rated higher.
Well, I'm
saying Aaron Rodgers is rated higher than Russell Wilson. I was wrong.
Good. Mom says, I told you guys Friday night Aaron was going to be on fire, and he was on fire. The pass to Lazard too,
way on fire
for the touchdown. When you saw the behind Rodgers look at it, that was insane because he's looking to the middle because he wants to try to hold off that linebacker to get him to move inside a little bit, which worked. And then he's got his body open, and the way he flips it, I know it wasn't a long pass, but the placement of it, all of that was like that was a ridiculous play and a ridiculous throw. I mean, and it's the timing. The thing that was so great with the receivers and Rodgers was so much timing that was just spot on. Because a play like that, even, Lazard sprinting to the end. If Rodgers throws it a split second later, he doesn't stay in bounds. He doesn't get his knee down. So the timing between those guys, between Adams, him, we just need MVS to catch those other couple passes. It would have been a really, really awesome day, but it was still a very good day. And Rodgers was lights out. So I just want to see him keep doing it. Now, Ben, I do want to talk a little more Packers here, but we jumped into that. I want to cover a couple interesting notes from the NFL. One, did you happen to see the highlights of the Jags-Colts game?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Phillip Rivers has some old balls, man. He's got some old floaty balls.
Whoa.
They're not, there's not much on them. He was trying to throw them, and it was pretty pathetic. Pretty pathetic. I know he's got 9 kids, but as far as throwing the football these days, there's not much left on there.
Yeah. Well,
Jonathan Taylor looked pretty good, but from that game, okay,
sucks.
I don't want to talk about the Colts anymore, other than I couldn't stop seeing how poor Rivers was at throwing the ball and how much. So that was the other thing, right? You look at some of these aging quarterbacks, Breeze, Brady, like we said, Rivers, and they try to rifle the ball, and then it wobbles and it's really inaccurate. And so they end up throwing more touch passes, and that's all they can do. Rodgers had the touch passes, but he still, like Adams commented on that first touchdown, he said that ball got up on him faster than he thought. And Rodgers was like running, sprinting full speed to the right and just rifles it. And that thing zipped in there. And he did that a number of times too. So that's awesome. He still got it. Now, the Jaguars, Ben, I think, are going to be your new favorite team. Do you realize that? Not just because
I don't know about that.
Well, okay, we already got Gardner Minshew, who only had 1 incompletion. He was 19 out of 20, man. 3 touchdowns.
I know.
He got sacked a few times.
He did great for me.
He's not very good at getting away from people. You can see that from the highlights. But
if you watch the highlights, he don't have a whole lot of time either, by the way. It ain't like come on.
No, but one thing I did notice is the Jags guys were open early. I think the Colts are playing a lot of soft defense. Jags are playing a lot of soft defense on the other side too. Here's why I think the Jaguars might be your new favorite team. Gardner Minshew, number 1. You got your shock guy. They did draft Chenault, and he looked pretty good in some spots.
They look pretty good.
And
Packers could have had him.
and then on the defense, did you happen to know who was the leading tackler for the Jaguars in that game, Ben?
Joe Schobert.
No, it was Josh Jones, former Packers safety, starting for the Jaguars. Josh Jones.
Is he really starting for the Jaguars?
Yeah.
At what position? Strong safety.
Safety.
I'm telling. Well, that's
now
that's
watching
good to
some
know.
watching some of the he had 12 tackles. He had 6 solos, 6 assisted. And it was really weird. You can watch the whole highlight package and see it's exactly the thing, all the things we saw. There were times where they had him up closer to the line of scrimmage and he made plays when he could attack and do stuff like that. He looked good. And then there were times where he was playing like the deep safety and he just looked lost. So I'm assuming the Jaguars will figure out like, yeah, he's better at doing this stuff and make him do that more. But they got Joe Schobert, they got him. They had one other. Oh, they got a white cornerback guy with long hair. Actually, thought it was Marc-Antoine Dequoy for a second, but it's some other safety they've actually had for a year or two on their team. And I don't know. I think you're going to end up like they won't be your favorite team, but they might be like your second favorite team. It might be your favorite AFC team, maybe.
You know me. I like the underdog. I mean, come on, Rocky, Karate Kid. These are like some of my favorite movies of all time, right? And even Eckes, who did the challenge for your favorite sports guys or whatever. My first one was Terry Mickens. You know what I'm saying? My second one today was Tim Thomas, who was the 6th string guy on the buck, right, coming off the bench. And those are my favorite guys. And I can go out. You'll see when I put my guys on Facebook here, all of my favorite athletes. Probably 10 out of the 13 are going to be people that are like role players or guys that aren't big names or whatever it is. But I like them because I like the underdog story. I like the guy who works hard and makes plays. And that's why I like Gardner Minshew. I mean, the guy was good yesterday. He was accurate as all heck. And he was very smart. There were plays where the first touchdown he had to Chark. Like, they had the Chenault running over on the side, like on a swing pass, kind of like it was going to be a wide receiver screen type thing where Chark would have normally blocked for him. And Gardner sold that crap. Like he was hard looking over there, like, oh yeah, I'm going over there. And the Colts were in a zone defense. They're all like lined up, like 5 guys in a zone. And this is inside the 15-yard line or 10-yard line, right? There's only 1 safety or 2 safeties on the sides here, blah blah blah, and then boom. And they all the guys in the top front zone bit on that. Because he just looked over. He didn't even pump fake. He just looked over there, and they all just went. And then, boom, drilled it over to Chark in the back of the end zone. Touchdown. Perfect. And a lot of his other passes, too. Perfect. Boom, boom, boom. My internet is stinky. I know that. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what's going on. It says my internet connection is unstable. So if I blurt out or whatever,
I think it's
whatever. Who cares?
It's a rough day for the internet today. That's what I heard. You know what though?
Yeah, it is. So, anyways, but
Minshew's
super awesome.
Passes though, he was hitting a bunch of guys.
They're probably my number 2 team right now, just because I want to see them all.
Sorry, I didn't know you were going to go there. I think they will be your favorite AFC team. But anyway, I think he was hitting guys like right in stride. He was so accurate. It was nice because it's not like he hit through a bunch of deep passes, but he had a lot of guys hit him on the run, and they were able to finish off those plays for touchdowns and stuff like that. He was nice. He was really good. I do want to bring it back to the Packers now. Okay, that's enough of our other NFL talk. Although I have one more thing, but we'll dissect the Packers first, and then that comes up. But obviously, Ben, God, man, I'm just so mad. I'm so bummed about Lane Taylor. Yep. Man, I mean, that guy, he's such a good guy. He works so stinking hard. He, came back from the terrible injury, and he was playing well yesterday, obviously. And then the injury happens, and he's done for the year. I mean, that just sucks. That's just a bummer.
The other thing is, I mean, all offseason we've been talking about him. I mean, we had a show once a week, and I swear we mentioned him at least one, every other show about how we want him to be on the team and how we know he's a really good player and how we know he can help the Packers win. Like, he's good, smart, a great guy and a great player, really. I mean, a really, really solid, awesome guard in the NFL. Like a guy, he's like an Adam Timmerman. He's like a TJ Lang kind of guy. He doesn't have the same, attitude. He's more of a passive guy. Like, he's just a nice guy. But so he's probably more like an Adam Timmerman type guy. And that sucked. Like that was the part of the game where when that happened, I was like, oh man, this. I mean, it was worse than MBS dropping wide open balls. To be honest.
Yeah, it stinks. I mean, I hate drops, but that drops make me mad. This just made me sad. I just. I mean, yeah, I know Lucas Patrick Bernard mentioned the defense. I'm gonna get into that in a second. We will, but Lucas Patrick, I didn't catch where his injury is. It's a shoulder. You would think hopefully he's going to be okay and be back. It'd be nice to have him back for the second game because they got some shuffling to do on the O-line. Although the guys that came in did well. Jenkins started out at right guard, then our right tackle, then went over back to left guard when Patrick got hurt, and then Rick Wagner came in and seemingly did fine, did pretty well. And John Runyon, the rookie, got in late in the game after Taylor got hurt, and he looked okay. So, I mean, those are all positives, but it still just sucks to see the injuries to two of our favorite guys on the O-line and two guys that have been around a while, kind of waited their turn. And in Lane's case, battle back and trying to regain a spot. Lucas Patrick has been, relegated to backup for how many times, but always plugs and plays whenever they need him and does well. Finally got a chance to really start, for the team. So I just, we'll see. The one thing I like is LaFleur has said, when they asked him about some of the things, and this is why I think he was so secretive about what they were doing with the offensive line for the first game, was that he said, we're just really trying to get our best five on the field. And so that's what I think the Packers seem to be committed to doing this year. And so that might mean that, hopefully Billy Turner is a backup, even when he does come back, unless they don't have any linemen left and he's got to play. But that's the danger, of course.
He's not a good enough player. The other thing that was really awesome I want to talk about, all those sweeps to Lazard, to Swerve and Irvin in the beginning of the game, they all went from left to right. They put Lane Taylor and they put Jenkins together on that right side, and they're like, listen, we know we got a couple guards here, a couple guys that can really run block. Let's use this to our advantage. Let's seal that edge and give these guys the outside. And how many first downs or good runs came off of those type of plays? And DeGuara coming out and blocking really good, especially on that Lazard one where he cut the guy and ended up taking out two guys by accident probably, but it still was awesome. And those are things where like that was encouraging. LaFleur he's looking at his team. He's saying, okay, hey, I got two really good guards. I got two starting guards on my right side. Let's go. Let's run over there. Let's do some fly sweeps. We got inexperienced corners on the Vikings, right? Let's use that to our advantage. They took care of them in the passing game, and they also took care of it in that running game. Aaron Jones had a okay day. He didn't have any super flash plays, but AJ Dillon's two runs look really good. I'll tell you that. And then Swerve and Irvin, there a couple plays, even that play right before Aaron Jones' touchdown. He just looks so fast. Like Swerve and Irvin looks fast, dude. He makes Aaron Jones look slow.
He is fast. He's substantially faster than him, but he also, you see he's really good for those plays because you can see like how good he is in the open field when he has a little more space to work. I don't know if he's as an effective runner out of the eye, but when you get him in the space and on the edge like that, man, it's like a punt return then. And he's good at that. So they're using him correctly too, which is really cool to see. And I think we talked to Viking Mo at halftime, and he was like, well, they're using all their backs. All four of their backs have a carry. And we told him, we were trying to tell him, you got to look out for these guys. Bernard makes a comment and says, I hope our defense is not like 2011. Yes, Bernard, that would be what we would hope as well, because that's, at some point that's going to catch up with you. And that's why the end of the game really, left a bad taste in my mouth, because that defense just kept, it was like wet toilet paper defense. They let the Vikings score a touchdown in 2 minutes and a minute and 30 seconds. It's just boom, boom, boom. They're just letting them go everywhere. And I get you have a big lead, but you shouldn't be backing off that much. You got to at least stiffen and make them work for it, make them earn it, slow them down because you have that big lead. And then it wouldn't even have been within, a score and a half or 2 scores. I just don't like that look. 24 points in the fourth quarter. Come on. That's just way too much.
Well, I mean, I'll say this. The last touchdown to Thielen was a perfect pass.
Great play.
A great route by Thielen. I mean, Jair played man coverage on him, and he was with them. But I mean, that pass was absolutely perfect. And Thielen just caught it both hands right at the back of the end zone. I mean, that was a good play by the Vikings. The first touchdown to Thielen, that was ridiculous. That was, I don't know what they're playing. I don't know what they're doing. They're in some kind of stupid zone. They're all just standing around looking at each other. And they let the guy who's the only guy on the Vikings. Like, honestly, who else are you worried about? And as far as the pass catcher, anyways. Like, if Thielen's out there, put at least one, like, you should always have somebody looking at him, or maybe 2 guys looking at him. He just runs straight up the freaking, like, he's in the slot, and he just runs straight. And Savage is like, hey, what's up, buddy? And then he just flew right past him, and he caught him in a touchdown. I was like, and Amos was like, I don't know what they were doing. Like, Amos was way in the back, but he was like way too far over this way. And Savage was way too low, and he just let him go past him. And it's like, Savage had a bad game. You also had a bad game. Kevin King had a bad game. He was getting schooled by 81, whoever that guy is, Johnson or whatever name. That guy wasn't even good. He was making Kevin King look like a chump on man coverage. And it's just like, and then Madison, he looked like Gale Sayers out there. He was running for 12 yards of freaking carriers. I mean, it was nuts. He had 50 yards on like 6 carries or something like that. It's nuts. What are they doing?
That's the part that concerns me a lot. That if the Packers, play teams and the teams want to be disciplined and run the ball, that's scary enough. I mean, I just, at some point you're going to run into those teams. The 49ers will do it. You saw it last time in the championship game. Jimmy Garoppolo throws 8 passes the whole game. They don't care. They just keep running the ball. And yesterday you couldn't stop the pass late either. So the Kenny Clark injury really hurts. Obviously, that was a huge one. That's a groin. So that's one of those that can linger. Either he's going to try to come back and play and it's still going to be a problem. He's not going to be the same, or they're going to shut him down for at least 4 weeks to try to heal it up. It really depends the severity of it, but it's likely at least a 3 to 4 week thing unless he tries to come back too soon. And usually with those, just like hamstrings, when you try to come back too soon, they just keep getting you. They just keep flaring up. And so it impedes your play. Even if you're out there and even if you're the best guy we got as an injured guy, you're not going to be the same, and it's going to impede your play and you won't be able to do the stuff you want to do. The other thing about the run, okay, so I don't know if you saw some of the plays or if you saw the replays of some of them, and I think in one of the highlight packages I caught it, but man, there are a couple of plays Savage tried to, Savage is not a big hitter tackler, but a couple of plays he tried to put some hits on people and he just bounced off them. And like, it was, I think he tried to come in and really stick Madison once and he just ended up on his back. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Kirk's
can we talk about the 2-point conversions and the short touchdown runs?
Yes.
Where guys like Savage and Z are just like, what are they doing? Attack the line of scrimmage. It's like you have 1 yard between the line where they are and where the end zone. And they're just like standing there like, hey. No. Attack. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But it was like everybody else is playing attack mode. And like Ham didn't even have to block Z on that play. Or on one of them. And Savage is standing there. I mean, another play later, Shannon Sullivan's in there, and he got blocked by the tight end. But at least he tried to get past him. Like he was at least getting blocked, and then he got, they ran off him. Why Shannon Sullivan's playing goal line? Why your nickel corner is in there on goal line? I don't know. But whatever.
That was the other weird thing about the linebacker with Barnes being in there right away. That was really confusing. That's the guy they cut and then signed back on the practice squad, and all of a sudden he was starting for him. no Tyus Summers, no Oren Burks, who was just standing on the sideline. Why is Oren Burks active then? If he's literally your fourth or fifth inside backer, why are you even dressing him? I mean, just I don't know. But there are a lot of issues with those guys. And Z, I was really disappointed. Going back and looking at the full highlight package where you can see a bunch of the plays. I mean, he was not pursuing. He was not active. He had his one early sack that was timely, that was important. It was great. And then we didn't really hear from him or see him. And they were not getting a lot of pressure on Kirk Cousins. And when they did, it was very undisciplined pressure. Like you saw those plays where Kirk Cousins is looking like he's Russell Wilson running all over the place. You're like, dudes, stay in your lanes. Kirk Cousins is not going to go anywhere. But they were just getting so far out and creating those big holes. And even Kirk Cousins could run for 20 yards then, which is just should never happen. And so watching the game, Jair Alexander looked the best out of the defensive players, and Rashawn Gary looked to be the second best. And that's saying something, because I didn't expect much from him, and he looked way better than the two big-time free agents that were such studs last year for you. So at least Gary's looking better, but those other guys got to come back.
Was Preston Smith even out there?
He was, but you didn't hear
Did
from
Preston
him?
Smith even do anything?
No.
Exactly. I'll say this. Listen, I'm going to say this, and I'll say it till I die.
All right.
When you play defense, if you're passive, you lose. And there's one guy who saved that game for the Packers. I don't care who you are. And we got Bruce, who the other day was sending me messages back and forth saying how he thought Jair had a sketchy game where he was on and off. And I'm like, maybe. But when he was on, he was on. He was attacking. He was making plays. He was picking up balls. He was running in there and like doing stuff.
He calls his own blitzes, Ben.
Well, he didn't know. It's awesome when you watch that. He didn't know. And I was so excited. I was like, oh, man, can you believe that Patton went and called a Jair blitz?
Right.
On first down? Like, oh, yeah. Patton has really got some aggressive awesomeness to him now. He's really doing stuff. He's really going for it. No, it was Jair. And that was the other thing. Can you imagine if the Vikings would not have moved Thielen in motion close to the line of scrimmage or close to the the end of the offensive line? If he stayed out, Jair would have never thought it was a run. And if he wouldn't, he would have had to cover Thielen. By them moving Thielen in motion, that moved Jair over because he was playing man. And then he thought it was going to be a run. And he splits both those guys. There's a tight end and Thielen. And he runs right in between the two of them. And then he just rubs off Gary's butt and then boom, and sacks Cousins in the end zone. And Cousins ain't going to try to throw it or get out of there because he's like, Cousins just like a statue back there. But it's like, Jair even said, he's like, I thought it was going to be a run because they moved Thielen over and I figured they were going to, try to block me. So I just, tried to get skinny and sneak through. And then I realized it wasn't a run. And I was like, crap, I guess I'm just going for it because I had nothing else to do. And then he went for it. And just like in the playoff game against the Seahawks, I wonder if that was even a called play. I think that was a called play, but Jair is a blitzing monster. Like, I want to see him in the slot. Like, they should really honestly think about putting him in the slot and then blitzing him every now and again. Because and have him maybe just like look like he's going to blitz. Because he's so aggressive and he's so good covering within the first 10 yards. It's usually downfield where he'll get bit on like double moves and stuff. And then he's like kind of, that's when you'll see him like kind of do pass interference because he knows he got beat. But he still saves a touchdown. I mean, listen, man. Jair is becoming definitely my favorite defensive player. Because even if you screw up, when you attack, it just screws up the offense. That play, because when you watch that play back, Thielen and the tight end are both open, or they're going to be open really soon.
Yep, they just haven't turned and looked yet. You can see they're still with their backs to Cousins.
But Jair got in there so fast, it didn't matter. And sometimes that's all you need is one guy to just get in there and mess stuff up. And he did so good of like just sneaking. I mean, he just right through those two guys and then right off Gary's butt and then boom, gone in there. And just like Cousins had no idea he was coming because he just kind of hid right behind Gary. And the next thing you knew, he came up from out of nowhere and smacked him. And it was awesome. And then his pick, like you were talking about this. He just kind of sat there and he watched Thielen run. Thielen did like 3 different juke moves, and Cousins kind of underthrew it.
Yeah.
And Jair just kind of got in there and tipped it a couple times and grabbed it. And he was just like, that was the game. That was the way. That's how they won the game. I mean, don't get me wrong. The offense was awesome, and we needed it to be. But at that point in that game, Packers had gotten into the red zone and called some stupid plays. We'll have to get into that sometime too. But still, in the red zone, ended up with a field goal. In the red zone, going for it on 4th down, didn't make it. So 2 times they were moved up and down the field on offense and only came away with 3 points, and they were losing at that point 7-3. So that was a huge change of what was going on. Then the Packers go down after that and only get a field goal out of it. And then the Vikings go 3 and out, where Gary tracks down Cousins for a 2-yard, it was only a 2-yard gain, which was a good play. And then 3rd down, Z did his one play, thank God.
Yep.
Where he sacked Cousins, got the sack. And then he was like, became a Buddhist for like 2 seconds. That was cool.
Maybe for the rest of the game. Maybe that's why he didn't pursue anybody or want to hit anybody. I don't know.
Right. And then the next play or the next drive, what did the Packers do? That was when they scored the touchdown to Devontae, where Rodgers ran around and drilled it. Then the Vikings get the ball. They're trying to go for it because they only didn't have much time left. Jair picks them off. So those 3 possessions in a row for the Vikings, that was what pretty much ended it right there. Because after that, the Packers didn't really stop them, to be honest. But that was, Jair, and then a 3 and out for the whole defense with Gary and Z making big plays on 1st down and 3rd down. So plus also Barnes had he had that one awesome run where tackle for loss where he got Cook in the backfield and made a great play. And Barnes, I thought that Barnes guy played pretty good. He attacked. He kind of knew what's going on.
That's what you got to do. Like it's a screen. They got 2 linemen right there. If you let one of those guys block you, I mean, come on. So he attacked it. He beat him and got to the guy with the ball. That was the way you got to do it. The thing before we go any further about Jair's play and why it was so remarkable, because I was the same as you. I thought, wow, Pettin dialed it up. That's awesome. And we want to see that more. And that just shows you how instinctive he is, because there's so many times you see plays in games where guys screw up or they don't do their assignment right and they just freeze and they get lost, or somebody was going to do that and then they guessed wrong and they're like, oh crap. And then they turn around and try to chase the guy who's already 10 yards downfield, which you're never going to catch up to him.
Right.
So the fact that he didn't freeze and be like, oh crap, I got to go cover that guy. He's like, nope, I'm just going for it. Yeah, that's awesome. And that's what you need to have. And the Packers need more guys like that. I mean, he's a very good player. He's a very good player, probably Brian Gutekunst's best pick or second best pick, depending. I mean, Elton Jenkins is proven to be really awesome as well.
Yeah.
But
and I gave him a lot of crap because they didn't take Derwin James. But Derwin James has been hurt 2 years in a row now.
Yeah.
And pretty much hasn't played for 2 years.
Injuries.
Where Jair has played. And let's face it, availability is more important sometimes than even being, whatever. Like, so Jair is a way better pick than Derwin James at this point in three years, going into his 3rd year, 4th year, whatever it is now. So his 3rd year, but he's awesome. He's what we need more of. And hopefully Pettin will see this and tell the other guys, be like, listen, go for it. Let's go for it. Let's make some plays. Stop being, I don't know what to say. And with Kenny Clark down, they're going to have to just shoot the gap and just mess stuff up. Just send somebody once in a while. Because you can't, Kingsley Kiki, he looked like crap.
Yeah.
He got blown up. Preston, I don't know what he was. There was a couple of runs Madison had where Preston was 5 yards downfield getting blocked and it was running to his side. And I'm like, what is he doing? And they were calling stunts on like 1st down. They're calling a passing stunt on 1st down. Now I understand they had a big lead, so they probably figured they're going to pass them 1st down. But it ended up being like a 27-yard Madison run off left tackle because, Preston did like a stunt, and then next thing you know, here's this big giant hole, and Madison's gone. And then Kevin King's there to try to tackle him. No, that ain't going to happen. Boom. Big, huge freaking play. The other thing, dude, you sent me this in the text, and you need to talk about it. The difference between a regular guy, like Z's a good player. Preston's a pretty good player. But TJ Watt, I watched the Steelers game. Gosh,
my-
dang it, he's awesome.
Oh my God.
He
Not
is
just him,
awesome.
not just him, right? Devin Bush. This is what I'm telling you. Because I had to watch because I was like, oh, Saquon, come on, man. And they just they just destroyed the Giants offensive line. Like it wasn't just one guy getting through to make a play to stop Saquon Barkley. It's like 5 guys. It's like everybody's in the backfield, and you're just and that's the difference. That's what it should look like. The other team I watched was, the Saints. I was watching the Saints and Buccaneers a little bit, and the way the Saints attacked, and when the Buccaneers tried to run the ball, it was like, wow. And you saw some of that from the Buccaneers defense, but the Steelers is the best comp because the Steelers they run a 3-4. They invested a lot of high picks in that 3-4 defense in the last handful of years. And look at the way that defense looks. The Packers, in comparison, have done the same thing. Invested a whole bunch of money and picks in the defense, and look at the way it looks. It's not even close. It's not even the same stratosphere. Not to mention, TJ Watt has more interceptions than Kevin King already this season, and I think he's going to finish the year with more interceptions than Kevin King.
That was a great play. That was a Clay Matthews play. When I watched it, I was like, wow, that was Clay Matthews.
Oh my
that was Clay
God.
Matthews, like in his 4th season.
And Kevin King is a freaking moron. Can we get past the fact that he's not that good of a player? He's also an idiot. There's a 3rd down. You stop the team on a 3rd down and long. It's about to be 4th and 12. You're going to get the ball back. And he's jawing at this guy where guys have to push him off and his teammates have to pull him out of the action to get him to not get a penalty. He is an idiot. He's not a good player, and he's a moron. And we drafted him instead of TJ Watt. Like, those are 3 strikes way too large to not hold against that guy. I can't do any more Kevin King. I just can't.
Well, he's not going to be a Packer next year.
Drives me. He better not be, because if they invest money in him, this defense is just going to keep going down the tubes. Because Jair's only one guy, and he's a corner. Yikes. I just can't handle that guy, man. I don't know. Any thoughts on Kevin King? Because I just cannot stand the guy. Oh, drives me up a wall. Anyway, go back. If you haven't looked at it yet, do that for yourself. Look at the Steelers-Giants highlights. Look at how that defense looks. That's how it's supposed to look. Then look at the Packers. The other thing is they got guys that hit. They got physical guys that hit. Ben and I were talking with Mo about how big a bunch of these Packers defenders are in comparison to other teams' defensive ends and linebackers and stuff. TJ Watt is much smaller than Zadarius Smith, Gary, Preston Smith, but he hits a lot harder than most of those guys.
But Dupree is like
yes,
230, and he was like playing with a guy with hair on fire in that game. It was nuts.
Man, I just don't know how the Packers have not found physical, fast guys. Like, all the good defenses, that's what you need. You need fast guys that also can hit and attack. And is it just the team holding them back? They don't let them attack, or these guys just don't have that instinct? I don't know what it is.
Well, you said Josh Jones had 12 tackles for the Jags, and we watched him have 13 tackles or whatever it was against the Bengals for the Packers his rookie year. And then they never used him that way, and they never played him. And it's kind of like, listen, if you have a guy and he seems to be able to do things that disrupt the other team's offense, how about we have that guy do that stuff? I don't know. It's pretty simple. Like, this guy does a lot of awesome stuff that messes up the other team. Let's use him in that way. But instead, they draft Savage, who I was very high on when he came out because he was so fast. And I was like, oh, can you imagine? This is like Nick Collins. Nick Collins would be like Nick Collins. But he's not like Nick Collins, because Nick Collins knew what he was doing back there. Nick Collins would he would somehow read the quarterback and the receivers and know what routes were being run and where the quarterback is going to throw the ball, and then break and pick it up or break the play up. How many pass breakups does Savage have?
Not
like
many.
None. Like, in a whole year, there's hardly any. Like he doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't have awareness. And I know he's only a second-year player, but I think that's not something you can just teach. You know what I mean? That's not something you can learn eventually. You have to have the ability to just kind of be like, hey, this is here, and then you have the speed to go and attack and do things. And I honestly, I have to say this. I think the Packers should honestly get Leroy Butler in camp as a coach and have him just work strictly with Savage and how to play deep safety. And I know Leroy was a strong safety. Savage is listed as a strong safety for some reason. I thought he was the free safety, but I guess he's the strong safety on the depth chart. But anyways, but when you watch Leroy Butler's X's and O's from last year, he had a couple different ones where he showed Savage messing up and like not doing things that, just simple things. He's like, well, but he always ended up like, well, he's a young player. He'll learn that. I don't know. I'm hoping that Gray, the defensive backs coach, can teach him some things here, but I just don't think they use him right. It seems like they're trying to I don't know what they're doing. I honestly don't know what they're doing on defense sometimes. They play a zone, but yet Jair plays man all the time almost. And it's like, but everybody else plays a zone or something. I don't know. And then the zone is they just leave holes. But
right. I mean, the thing is the secondary looked improved last year, partially because of the pass rush being so improved,
right.
Which those things go hand in hand, of course. But the secondary has to be able to hold their own. Those guys are not going to get there all the time. And then you get a big injury to Kenny Clark. Like that was a huge injury. Okay. I mean,
bad.
The defensive line we knew was a problem. The Packers did nothing to address it. We talked about this before. I don't want to get all into it again. You all know it. If you're a Packers fan, you know it. They did nothing to really address it, except extend Kenny Clark to make sure he could stay on the team. But the guy needs some help, and now he's hurt. So when he went out, you saw how bad it could be. They don't have anybody except maybe that guy they signed off the other cut list or whatever, Taylor or whatever his name is, that's big enough to even hold down a double team. None of these other guys can do it. Lancaster maybe, but everybody else, I mean, Dean Lowry's not strong enough, big enough. Kiki, don't even get me on Mon Adams. Like, come on. So he wasn't even active for the first game.
Yeah.
But
wow.
Third round
shocking.
Pick inactive. Third round pick from a few years ago inactive. But and still somehow on the roster. I don't know why. Don't tell me you couldn't find a guy off the street that's better than him. But if you don't have that short up, I mean, teams are just going to kill you. Where was that? I don't know. I mean, I know Ben and I are hammering on the defense.
Yeah, we got to watch it.
I get it. And the Packers won, and it was awesome. But you cannot. Aaron Rodgers is great. This offense can be great, but they also sustain multiple injuries on their offensive line. Okay, and that's just not the easiest thing to deal with and maintain scoring 43 points every game. And you can't expect your offense to score 40 some points every game just to win. So this defense has to be better. I said it multiple times now. They put a bunch of resources into it, picks, money, all that, free agent signings, and it has to be better. It has to be better than it was on Sunday. Well, Aaron Rodgers can carry him a lot. And the offense, they can outscore a bunch of teams. Great. But they're going to run into some teams. If they got to play the Steelers, if they got to play even on, I'm not concerned about the Saints offense, but their defense concerns me a little more. Other teams that have strong defenses, you're not going to score 40 points against them, especially with a banged up offensive line.
Well, let's get on to the offense here.
All right.
And
I'll talk
about
the offense.
Let's say this. MVS is the difference in the Packers scoring 26 points a game or the Packers scoring 36 points a game on average this season. If he can just catch the stinking ball, the Packers will score 36 points a game because teams are going to be deathly afraid of this guy going deep on you. And if he can just show that he can catch these wide open passes, that's going to open up so much for everybody. Devontae, Lazard, tight ends, running backs, everybody, which they did not do last year because they never had him on the field. And I know because I play Madden. When you play Madden and you have no speed to beat anybody deep, I play Madden against these guys, and they play this gosh dang zone, the 49ers zone against me. And nobody can beat anybody deep on the freaking Madden game except for Scantling, but then he drops the ball sometimes. But he's like my main guy when I play now because I just go to him because I have to. He's the only guy who can win. But they're not worried about anybody going deep. But if he can do what he did against the Vikings, like he had separation on multiple plays, and that's just man coverage on him. And he schooled the guy. He was that one free play, he had his guy beat. It was like 5 yards he had him beat by. And I don't know how he got tackled, honestly. I think he was so worried about catching that ball. He was like, I am catching this ball. He was like, I'm catching this ball. I'm catching this ball. He caught it. And then he's like, thank God I caught it. Oh yeah. And then he kept running, but then the guy tackled him. Where I think if he would have just caught it, he could have like moved a little bit or picked his feet up a little quicker and then got in the end zone. But hey, he caught the ball. That's great. But MVS, and you said it in the offseason, and you said it to Bruce and Eckes when we had the wide receiver tight end conversations. MVS is the secret to the whole offense.
He's the key.
It's weird. And can we say this? What I've been saying all offseason, where everybody's complaining about wide receivers, why did we draft a wide receiver? Why didn't we draft a wide receiver? Why didn't we draft a wide receiver? Well, you saw on Sunday why we didn't draft a wide receiver. Because we got all the guys we need at wide receiver. We just need them to freaking catch the dang ball. We got the speedster. We got the 6'5" possession guy in Lazard, who's very smart. And you got Devontae, who can run routes like a madman. Except, please, can we not do any more slants, quick slants? Because he does not run a slant. He runs a juke, and then move. And by that time, the defense already knows what's going on. Like, it's not like because when he wins on slants, when normally between the 20s, it's because the defensive player playing him is worried about him getting past him. But when it's just a slant on the 1 yard line for a fourth down, the defensive player is not going to bite on Devontae's double moves because they know that he can't beat it. Like we got him. He just can't beat me. I'm not worried about him getting past me. I'm just going to stay right up on him. And the second touchdown, or the second Devontae touchdown, was a much better play because they had him in the slot instead of on the outside. They didn't worry about trying to have Lazard do a pick because that first one was Lazard was supposed to pick, but he didn't quite get there. And I hate pick plays anyways. Second one, they had Lazard outside, and Lazard did like a 6 yard out or in route, and then Devontae just did a quick out route, which is much better than a slant in my way, especially with Rodgers, because Rodgers gets the ball. He always moves to make sure he gets a clear passing lane, right? Yeah, and then he just drills it to the outside. Devontae caught it. Perfect. That's what you call. And then that's because they're playing man. If they were playing zone in that particular situation, then the corner comes out, and Devontae, don't throw Devontae, you throw to Lazard in the back of the end zone because that first safety is going to be worried about Devontae going in. The other corner is going to be worried about Devontae because he's Devontae. The next thing you know, Lazard's open right behind that secondary guy who was worried about Devontae in the slot. Boom, touchdown. That's a much better play. A deep out not a deep out, but like a 70-yard out route, and then Devontae with that 2 yard in route. Perfect combination. Perfect. Awesome. Keep doing that. But hey, we got the receiver. They're awesome.
You're right. The other play that we were looking for when they were so close to the goal line was their 250-pound running back to come in and, give him the ball. And they chose not to, and then they didn't score, which is really perplexing. And then the next series, they bring him in for the first time and give him a carry. It was just like, what do you got him for then? Like, come on, give him a shot. Give him a shot. Good. He did.
He looked fast and quick and decisive.
Did he have 2 carries?
He had 2 carries for like 14 yards or something.
Yeah.
Both of his carries were like, he was moving the ball down. I mean, I told you about this when we drafted him. When he saw 8 guys in the box, like 60-some% of the time, and he averaged 4 yards per carry against 8 men in the box. So if you give him the ball 3 times, he's going to, even if he had 8 men in the box, he scored, getting the first down. The guy moves the ball. He moves the chains. He moves forward every time he has the ball. You know what I mean? And I don't know why he wasn't in there. Can we talk about the giant elephant in the room?
Hang on. Bernard says A-Rod is a bad man. And you're right, Bernard. A-Rod
He
is
is.
awesome. And
He is.
he was even good last year. Like I said that before.
Well, I don't know about that.
Mo asked us about why the Packers run so many close games, and I said a big credit to that had to go to Aaron Rodgers and timely plays. Like, yeah, he had some things. He wasn't as sharp, but he's going to be sharp. But
Listen,
you know,
the difference in this game and last year, dude. Last year he was still holding the ball too long, trying to make plays, always looking to Devontae. This game he did look to Devontae a lot, but Devontae got open a lot. And like I said, his first 10 passes, or 10 of his first passes, he got the ball out of his hand in 1.75 seconds.
Do you think, Ben, I got to ask you this.
That's the huge difference.
I got to ask you this. This is the way I'm leaning after watching it as well. I mean, part of it, I think, are some of these things and okay, whatever, you know, Rodgers self-evaluation, learn the offense better, different things like that. But you notice how in this game, so the Vikings had inexperienced corners. We talked about that, young corners.
Yep.
So a third guy in their Hill that they picked on a lot, number 24. And they hardly threw to the linebackers. He threw the backs a bunch early on, and then it was wide receivers, almost exclusively wide receivers, hardly threw to tight ends at all.
Yeah,
do you think because they had Jimmy Graham last year and they're like, well, we gotta get it to Jimmy sometimes. We got to give him his passes. We got to give him his looks. We got to whatever. And I wonder how many other times Rodgers was trying to get it to him first, which then, you know, threw off the timing of everything because Graham couldn't get open. And then it ended up being those types of plays. So could a lot of this improvement, or at least partially this improvement, be because there is no longer that Jimmy Graham first option on any play that we have to feel like we got to try to get it to him or look at him?
I don't think it's specifically Jimmy Graham. I say Rodgers does that a lot where he's like, you know what? I want to get Big Dog a touchdown here, right? He did that against the Giants. And he's like, you know, I want to make sure this guy catches this pass here. So he'll wait. Like, to be honest, I think Lazard's touchdown was a play where Rodgers probably could have threw to somebody else and had an easy touchdown. But instead, he's like, oh, come on, Lazard. I'm going to wait for you to get open, drill it, boom, touchdown. Because he wanted Lazard to get that touchdown because he was the guy that made the big catch and he tripped on his freaking own legs and fell down to one or whatever. and that's – and and the difference is in this game, he did that like one time. Where last year and previous years, he does that a lot more. Where he goes into the play and he's like, yeah, I kind of want to get this guy because he's so confident, Rodgers. He's like, I can do whatever I want to do. I'm Aaron Rodgers. And most of the time he's right. But sometimes it's not the best idea to do whatever you think you can want to do. Just do what's the best thing. Like if a guy's like open, then throw it to him. Or if the play is designed to go to this guy, throw it to him. I guarantee that touchdown to Lazard was, I'm almost positive that was Aaron Rodgers being like, I'm going to get Lazard this touchdown.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I don't think it's a Jimmy Graham thing. I think it's just, and if that starts rearing its ugly head, I'm not going to be happy because the difference in this game was Rodgers was thrown to the open guy most of the time. And he was going to Devontae, but Devontae's freaking good. And he had a guy who was a rookie on him or whatever, corner, and he schooled him the whole freaking game. So yeah, you're going to throw to Devontae over and over if he's schooling the guy left and right. But when you watch the game, watch some of those highlights, other guys were open on those plays too. But, Devontae's the first read, and he's wide open, boom, throw it to him. The other thing, LaFleur said that a lot of those end arounds were not necessarily all just end arounds. They also could have been handoffs to the running back or some other kind of like they're all different things. And Rodgers made the right decision on those plays, he said.
Right.
So that's another thing about Rodgers' game that isn't talked about at all because he never ever has. How many times have we ever seen him do like an option, run, pass, whatever option type play? Like not very often.
Right.
And he's probably not going to run because you don't want to see him get hurt. But he's choosing whether it's going to go to the running back or whether it's going to go to the wide receiver. And part of him was probably like, hey, I got Lane Taylor and Jenkins over here. I'm going to let, Lazard and swerve it over and get this out of this end around instead of faking it and giving it to Aaron Jones or whoever it was. And he made the right choice on a lot of those plays. And that's another part of the game, his game, that he just made the right decisions in this game, like almost all the time. And hey, You can't go wrong there. You got one of the best arms in the whole history of the NFL, and then you're also like super smart, and you're making the right call, and you're not trying to be doing too much.
Keep in mind that
you're awesome. And then you're calling guys off sides with your hard count.
I mean, keep in mind that before you get to your elephant, keep in mind that a bunch of these younger quarterbacks grew up playing that type of offense with that system, with the RPOs and all that stuff. Rodgers did not. He's too old to have grown up playing that. So this is all new to him. So, yeah, I mean, year 2, he's probably got a much better handle on it. Okay, what's your elephant before we wrap it up here?
It's Jamal Williams.
Oh.
And when you look at the stats at the end of the game, he had like 7 carries. And Aaron Jones had 12 or 13, which is ridiculous. He should have 20 carries. I'm sorry.
It was the number of snaps, though, too.
It was the number of snaps and the number and the amount of times where it would be like an entire drive and you don't see Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
And that works against a Vikings team that has a bunch of young guys at the corner and a defensive line that, is, let's face it, they weren't very good. Yeah, that works then. But if you go up against a good team and you don't have Aaron Jones in the game, they're not worried about Jamal Williams. Nobody's worried about Jamal Williams. And if they're trying to prove a point to Aaron Jones or to the fans that, we can win even without Aaron Jones, so when we don't sign him back after this year, guys don't be mad at us, that's a bunch of crap. And the weird thing was when you look at all these big passes that Rodgers had deep, Aaron Jones was not in the game. Jamal Williams was in on almost every one of those. The big pass for a touchdown to Devontae, the touchdown to Devontae, touchdown to Scantling. The big deep pass to Scantling on the play action play, that one was actually Aaron Jones on that game. Because he had to. It was play action. I mean, if you're gonna run play action, you have Jamal Williams back there. No one's gonna bite on that crap. You got to have Aaron Jones back there. And then how many times? And then you're throwing to. I mean, listen. I like Jamal Williams. He's a nice guy. He dances and he does. I get it. I get it. And I'm not saying he's bad, but this reminds me of a certain situation in 1996-97 when the Packers had one guy who had Pro Bowl talent and was very, very good, and they had another guy who was average at best and was a nice guy, and he knew what he was doing and all that kind of stuff. And somehow they kept splitting the carries for reasons nobody knows. And one guy averaged 3.4 yards a carry, and the other guy averaged 5 yards a carry. And mostly because he didn't have William Henderson in front of him blocking, because they run him mostly out of an I formation or single back set, but besides the point. But Jamal Williams is Edgar Bennett. That's what he is. He's Edgar Bennett. I'm sorry. And Aaron Jones is not Dorsey Levens. He's not. He's better than Dorsey Levens as a runner. And Dorsey is probably a little smarter, and he could probably get a better pass catcher and all that kind of stuff. But it's the same type of thing. Dorsey Levens is just clearly a better back than Edgar Bennett, yet somehow Edgar Bennett played more. Or whatever, not at the beginning of the year, but then eventually, by the time we were getting into the playoffs, they're like, okay, we got Dorsey Levens here. Let's use him. He's freaking awesome. And then the NFC Championship game, he destroyed everybody with a bunch of catches and stuff against the Carolina Panthers and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, what I'm saying is, this team next year, I would rather see Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon, Swerve Irvin. And part of me is thinking they're going to try to save money and have Jamal Williams, A.J. Dillon, Swerve Irvin.
Oh, come on. Come on.
Because they can get Jamal Williams on the cheap.
Well, yeah. No one's going to sign him for anything.
And Rodgers, listen, dude, Rodgers has been talking up Jamal Williams all camp. Every time he can, he doesn't even get asked questions about him. He just keeps bringing his name up all the time. He loves him some freaking Jamal Williams for some reason. And I'm not saying, like, I don't even think Jamal Williams is a bad player. I think he's a pretty good player.
Right, he's fine.
But okay, but if you want a speed back, we got Swerve Irvin. If you want a slasher who's going to make guys miss and like knows where the holes are and can get you touchdowns, Aaron Jones. If you got a bruiser, you want to freaking knock some dudes over and do one cut and run and with some speed and power, you got A.J. Dillon. What does Jamal Williams bring to you, other than as a pass protector on plays on offensive, on like shotgun third down plays? or like Jamal Williams was in there on the at the end of the first half when they were playing no huddle or whatever. He was the guy back there. And I get it. Rodgers likes it. Like he had John Kuhn for a bunch of years. Where he just has a guy like, I know he's going to do the right thing. He's going to pick up the right guy in a blitz. And that's very valuable. I'm not saying it's not very valuable.
Right.
It's very valuable. But I think you could also have DeGuara back there in that situation as your security blanket blocker, smart guy, who seems to be super smart because they used him a crap ton in this game against the Vikings all over the place. And you could have him back, and he was back there a couple times in the shotgun, actually, as like a fullback role protecting. And he could do all the things Jamal Williams does, except he's bigger and stronger and faster and smarter. So, I mean, this is going to sound like I hate Jamal Williams. I don't hate Jamal Williams. I just really want to see the Packers blow. I want to see him score 40 points a game this year, because I think they can with all these guys. And if you're telling me Aaron Jones, I don't think Aaron Jones even played in 40% of the plays on Sunday, maybe 50 at the most. And that's ridiculous. Unless AJ Dillon's the other guy coming in. If AJ Dillon's coming in, okay, because he's a second round pick and a monster. But Jamal Williams is not a monster.
No.
I don't know.
You're right. He's very Edgar-like, and he's in many ways, but
I don't think he's even as good as Edgar, though.
No.
Like, I think Edgar is actually a better player than Jamal Williams. Like, Edgar was a better player than Jamal Williams is.
Right.
And I don't like Edgar. Anybody knows me knows I'm not an Edgar fan. So it's like, if I'm saying that, what do I think of Jamal Williams?
Jamal, you're right. Jamal Williams is fine, but he doesn't give you anything other than pass protection that the other guys can't do better. Like everything else, the other guys can do better. So I'm not sure why he needs to be on the field so much. He's more of like a 25% of the snaps kind of guy.
If I got to be honest, I don't even want to see him out there.
Okay.
I mean, I know that sounds mean, but it's like, dude, why? Aaron Jones could catch a screen pass and do more with it than Jamal Williams could ever do with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Swerve Irvin could catch a screen pass and do more with it. Not that he would ever be in the backfield. He'd be in the slot and catch a slot screen pass. But what I'm saying is, I mean, as far as a backup or a back, I mean, I would rather have two guys, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon. Because the difference in those two guys is it's remarkable. Because Aaron Jones is a little more squirty and patient, and then he'll where AJ Dillon's like he's like AJ Dillon's like Dorsey Levens on steroids. So why would you want to put Edgar Bennett in there if you got Dorsey Levens on steroids? It don't make no sense. Unless it's pass protection, fine. You know, but then get DeGuara in there. He's good. He's a pretty good pass protector. And I don't know if you saw his interview today. He was talking, or yesterday, he was talking about how he never did pass protection in college. Because somebody asked him, he's like, see, like you were back there doing pretty good at pass protection in the shotgun, helping Aaron Rodgers. He's like, yeah, I had to learn that stuff this camp because I never done it before in my life. But he did pretty good.
Yeah.
He did pretty good run blocking. He did pretty good. He had a good catch. He had that one play where he probably looked back too soon on that one pass, you know, when Kendricks was on him. If he would have just kept going and then looked back after he got past Kendricks, but he looked back before Kendricks got to him. That's the other thing. You said something about Rodgers not throwing to the tight ends and throwing to the wide receivers the whole second half and all that stuff. You got to remember the Vikings stink at defensive line. They stink at corner. They got two of the best safeties in the NFL and probably one of the best middle linebackers in the NFL. Rodgers is not throwing the ball in the middle against the Harris brothers, Harrison Smith and, you know, Harris. And then he's definitely not going after Kendricks because he tried against the first play and like the first touchdown pass they tried to throw to Aaron Jones right on that seam or whatever, the back of the end zone. And then it's like, dumb. Why? But he was like, I'm not going after Kendricks. I'm not going after the Harris brothers. Those two guys are too good. Let's go after these dumb corners who are young, who can't cover our guys. And it was awesome. It was awesome. And I want to see some Tanya, dang it.
I know.
He never threw to him once. He didn't even look at him.
Maybe he wasn't open.
Did he throw? I think he threw one pass to Sternberger and he didn't catch it.
Tanya looked pretty passive on a couple of quick screens where they had him out trying to lead block and he didn't really do much. So I don't know, you know, like some of these guys, maybe that's part of the gig. They look at what they're doing on those plays and see they're really not into it. So they're like, nah, we're not calling plays for you. I don't know. And Devontae was the man. I mean, give him 20 targets. I don't care. I told you, 20 targets a game. 20 targets a game for Devontae. That's
I don't like that. I still don't like it. Listen, dude, he had 14 catches for 156 yards. And he got a target 17 times.
Yeah.
He's I don't know.
I know
he's a good player, but his average catch, like, and then the other thing is he's not, like, somebody said this today. Actually, it was Chris Sims, because they were asking him, like, hey, what do you think about your top 10 quarterback wide receiver rating now? You got Devontae Adams in there? And he was like, listen, I like Devontae Adams. I always said I like Devontae Adams, but there's a whole lot of good receivers in the league. He's like, the thing about Devontae Adams is, how many yards does he get after the catch, really?
Right.
And it's true. Like, a lot of times, a lot of his catches are juke moves on the. Now, part of that's the offense. It's a juke move to the sideline. He catches it before he goes out of bounds, right? And when you catch a bunch of touchdowns in the end zone, which is something that Devontae does, you're not getting yards after the catch there, but you're catching touchdowns, which is way better than yards after the catch. So I get it, but Devontae is one of those guys who, he doesn't have super speed. He just kind of gets open. He knows how to get open. And if Rodgers makes a perfect pass, then Devontae can catch it in stride and maybe get a couple more yards. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like Scantling who will catch it and go, or whatever. You know what I mean? And a lot of these times. So that's the only thing. I like Devontae, but he's not quite like, he's not a Sterling Sharp. He's not a, he's not even a Greg Jennings, in my opinion.
Oh,
like, Greg Jennings made a lot of, and even Double D. Like, Double D was a better, like, route runner. Guy gets open and then gets plays after the catch. Like, Double D would make guys miss. Like, Devontae doesn't really make guys miss. He just kind of, like, jukes them out of the short with his route. And then if he's wide open, then he'll catch it and then he'll get some extra yards. But it's not like other guy, like Double D, who would catch it, make a guy miss, juke a guy, skip around a guy, jump over him, whatever, do kind of crazy stuff. So he's a very solid, good player. And I think if he didn't have Aaron Rodgers, his stats would not be nearly as good. So I kind of, like, part of me kind of agrees with Chris Sims. Like, I don't know if but he's still really, 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 really good. It's just, he's not like top notch receiver, in my opinion.
If he was, I agree with you. And we expressed a couple weeks ago how actually Bill Schrader was technically better than Devontae Adams. Talent wise. But the other guy is like Jordy, right? I mean, Jordy could get yak. I mean, we've talked about this before. And a lot of times, yes, he's fast, running straight. And also because people underestimate him because he's white. They didn't think he was that fast, but then he really would. He really would be that fast. They're like, holy crap, the guy's white. I didn't think he was going to be that fast. You heard quarterbacks say that and defensive backs say that. But the thing with Jordy was, he was also really smart about, like, he knew that when he didn't make a lot of moves or a lot of cuts, but he knew when to make the cut. He knew when that safety was coming over to get him on the sideline and that corner was behind him. And he's like, okay, right now, if I cut, they're both going to basically run into each other and miss me. And he'd do that stuff all the time for those big plays. Right. But you were correct. And I think we brought this up in one of our shows of, a month ago or whatever it was, but the Packers they have these receivers that are good. And you just mentioned Devontae Adams. If he was on a team with a lesser quarterback, he would be a very good possession receiver. And that's all he would be. He would never be a guy you'd throw deep to. Never. Because you have to have great accuracy to get him a deep pass.
I mean, that deep pass to him in that game Sunday was like the perfect pass. He was barely open on that play. And that's the same guy that Scantling beat. He beat him by like 3 yards and had to wait for the ball.
Yep, that's true. It's very true.
But Devontae was like barely past him. So yeah, keep going.
Lazard's not going to get open by a ton either, unless they blow coverage like they did on his deep pass. Right. And that's why Scantling is the key. He's the key to the offense.
It's really scary.
He is. MVS
He's got to catch those 2 drops though. Oh my God, dude.
I know
that slant was the worst. And then when he smiled after, I was like, don't smile.
I don't know if you may have watched it, and maybe Bernard watched it, I don't know, or anybody else. But somebody in Rodgers' post game press conference, basically tried to goad Rodgers into talking about that, because they didn't just say they asked a very leading question. It wasn't even about the drops. It was like, what is it like being working with the madness of Marquez Valdez Scantling when he makes these great catches on these other plays, and then he drops two other ones that are big plays and blah blah blah. And Rodgers didn't even go into it. He didn't even go for it. He just talked about the camp he's had, the attitude he's had. He stayed above the fray on that. But they tried to get him to say something about it. And I mean, I think you said on TV copy, you saw his lips or whatever saying something like that was effing ridiculous or whatever when he dropped that one. And it was, or I think he said, you got to be kidding me or something like that. But it has to be maddening. But what other choice does he have? This team has no other guys that are fast other than Irvin. Swerve Irvin can be another component to go deep, but he's not really going to be utilized as like a receiver would all the time. And then the other thing they got is they don't have anybody. The only guy who's probably got good yak is going to be their running backs. Is going to be Aaron Jones and Swerve Irvin. Those are the only guys you think after they catch the pass, they're going to do much with it. So
yeah,
those are their yak guys.
Well,
Devontae's a possession guy.
Kanyon.
Lazard
can give Kanyon the ball.
Right. But
they don't ever throw him the ball.
Lazard's a possession guy. Devontae's that's why MVS is the key. And Swerve Irvin's got to have his place in the offense. He's got to get his 5 to 8 plays that go to him, and he can make an impact too. So they're figuring it out as a team. Offense looked great. We just need we need some stability on the O-line though. I'm concerned about that.
I'm concerned a little on that too, only if they decide to put Billy Turner back in.
Right.
I mean, if they because if they go with Runyon Bunyan, I'd be okay. And Rick Wagner, I mean, it's scary to think that that's your whole right side is going to be Runyon Bunyan, Rick Wagner, and Corey Linsley. Like, shit, sounds pretty scary, but it's better than Billy Turner because he ain't going to block 3 guys that come at him. You know what I mean? He ain't going to know what he's doing at guard. So I'd rather have Rick Wagner there. And maybe Runyon Bunyan is pretty good. I mean, he seemed to be pretty solid on Sunday. So let's stick with Runyon Bunyan. Unless Lucas Patrick is healthy enough to play, then let's put him in there.
I mean, he didn't have to do right. I would much rather see Lucas Patrick because Runyon didn't really have to do any straight up pass blocking when he got in the game. It was runs or it was.
He should be better at that. He was a tackle.
Yeah, but I mean, he doesn't look like a tackle. So
well, he's playing guard.
He did say his dad is very hard on him in terms of going over film and all that stuff. He's like, yeah, I think I had about 15 plays. My dad will spend like 2 hours talking to me, breaking down those 15 plays. So his dad will coach him up real good. And I'm sure he's young, he can develop. We just, there's going to be teams with better defensive linemen that they're going to have to face, and that offensive line has got to be at least solid. So, losing Lane Taylor is hopefully something they can absorb and still keep cooking. And then the defense has got to come around. Bernard says,
but if they keep doing those quick passes though, getting the ball out of their hands, out of Rodgers' hands quick, that'll help the offensive line. It helped them at the beginning of the game when they weren't quite sure because we're going to have a guard play tackle here, right tackle. Let's make sure Rodgers gets the ball out of his hands quick. Let's do some jet motion plays. Let's do some stuff like that. Quick passes to Devontae on quick out routes. That helps. And it also puts the defense on their heels a little bit. They're like, because not on the heels, but like, they're like, okay, I guess we better come up and worry about this stuff. And the next thing you knew, boom, play action deep. It was a great game plan, executed great by Aaron Rodgers. I thought the play calls were really good, except for that first red zone calls where they kept being cute. And the cute stuff works between the 20s because the defense is worried about deep stuff. But when they only have to worry about 10, 15 yards, an end around's not going to really fly because their guys are going to jump it because they're not that far away. They're only 10 yards to go. So if they see an end around come, they're going to jump the route. They're going to jump that end around or that jet sweep. So I don't know why they did that on first down again. because I know it worked 3 times earlier than that in the game, but still, don't keep doing that kind of crap. And then the fade to Aaron Jones was a dumb call, especially with Eric Kendricks, one of the best inside linebackers. Yeah, he was playing way outside coverage, man coverage on him, but he's one of the best man coverage inside linebackers in the game. You know, I mean, Aaron Jones is good, but he's not like amazing. He's not, he's not as good as I don't think Aaron Jones as a running back is as good as Eric Kendricks is at inside linebacker. I like Aaron Jones a lot, but Eric Kendricks is really dang good at a coverage inside linebacker.
Well, especially at
really
running
good.
back, running pass routes. I mean, it's different.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Running pass
especially
patterns,
on the outside.
Yeah. All right. Bernard said Cowherd sucks, and I asked, what did he say this time? I stopped listening to him after I told you I was never going to listen to him again. I haven't even watched one of his videos. Bernard just said that he doesn't want to hear excuses for A-Rod. Well, yeah,
Good.
he never has. But there shouldn't be anything to talk about excuses after that game. If Cowherd's not, I'm sure Cowherd's not going to give him a bunch of credit because he can't handle admitting that he's wrong, because he is wrong a lot, even though he tries to pretend that he's right, like so many other people with big egos like him. But he was probably just gushing over Russell Wilson after the weekend and didn't even want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. He'll wait till Aaron Rodgers has a subpar game, then he'll talk about him, I'm sure. That's his gig. Yeah. Anyway, Bernard, just tune him out. Don't listen to him anymore. He's not worth your time. You listen to us and chime in more next time. Bernard, we want to hear from you throughout. We want to hear from everybody on these. Ben said he had nothing to talk about. We've already gone 85 minutes. So
I got one quick thing.
Yeah. Okay. What do you got?
NFL's Week 2 power rankings came out today.
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers ranked number 3, the highest rated NFC team in the league as of right now.
Wow. After one game. Jeez.
Where before this week, they were ranked 8th or less than that. Now, the PFT, the whatever, like Florio and those idiots, they had the Packers ranked 14th, and they were behind the Vikings. This is before, not this week, but like before the season started. And they had like 7 other NFC teams higher than the Packers. And then how does Gardner Minshew and the Jaguars go from 32 to only 29 when they beat the Colts? And the Colts are still ranked like 17.
I don't know, especially when they, they played a good game. Played super efficient. There was a lot of very efficient quarterbacking this weekend. I didn't obviously see the whole games other than the Packers game. But man, I mean, between some of these guys really had really good starts to the season. So maybe somebody other than the expected guys will win the MVP this year. Maybe it won't be Lamar Jackson or Mahomes, the young Bucks who everybody thinks is going to win it. Maybe it'll be one of these other guys. And we hope it's A-Rod because he deserves another one. He got cheated out of at least one in 2016. Think about that. He could be a 4-time MVP if he'd win it this year. Should have got it in 16. We all know that. All right, Ben. We went on almost 90 minutes. Ben said he didn't have much to talk about. We still find stuff to talk about because it's Packers, man. We love the Packers. Season's back on. Join us Friday night for our preview for the Lions. We'll also take your comments in the chat, of course, Friday with a more active chat. We'll give you a heads up. People know that drill about 9 p.m. on Friday nights. We'll start doing this Tuesdays, 7:30, 8 o'clock, somewhere in that neck of the woods. So we'll build that up too. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for hanging out. Because I'll tell you, it boosts us up a little bit. The fact that we're doing this mostly for our own fun and some people, that we know that enjoy it. But it's nice to get a little bit of people kind of circulating around and discovering us. I think with our game breaks that we did, Ben, you want to keep doing game breaks? Kind of updates after each quarter and stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. I probably got to work till 2 today or Sunday.
Okay.
So
Sunday. All right.
I'll probably have to watch the game later on in the day, to be honest with you.
All right.
I'm going to get Game Pass, actually, NFL Game Pass. I'm going to get pretty soon so I can watch the Lions game against the Bears. And I might try to do some play breakdown videos. I don't know how to do all that. I'll have to get a better understanding of computers.
I'll have to leave that to you. I got too much.
By the way, I'm going to be old on Friday. Woo-hoo-hoo.
I know. Birthday's coming up. 50. Woo! Oh, just kidding. You're not that old yet. 46. 46?
Yeah. 46.
Yeah, okay, 46. All right.
Yeah, you add 2 to you ding dong.
I can't remember how old
that hard.
Sometimes. Hey, I've got
Oh,
I
yeah, that's
can't
true.
I
That's
can't
what
do
they're like,
extra breakdown videos, and even though I know it's not as polished, these live ones are easier for me because we knock them out and then put it out there for you. And if you have not, if you didn't get a chance to enjoy what we did Friday night with Viking Mall, go back and find the most recent one I cut up with the highlights, or not the highlights, the best of. I mean, that made me laugh my butt off like 5 or 6 times. I was laughing hard during that. So if you want a good laugh, check that out.
Well, most kind of a dry, boring like information. He's got good information on the Vikings. And
But
after
we
90
jumped
minutes
on
of
it.
dealing with us,
But we
he
jumped on it.
he finally lost it. I know, but he finally lost it at the end there, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, you're a wide receiver is 20 pounds heavier than my defensive tackle," and all this kind of stuff.
I think the first one
he kind of because he could hold it together pretty good, but he kind of lost it after 90 minutes of dealing with us. So
when we first got him, when we started talking about all the running backs, and then when we jumped on him about Swerve and Urban, and he's like, "Who's that?" And we're like, "Whoa!" And then he's just like being attacked by us. And you watch his face as we're going off, warning him about our third string running back. He's like,
well, all the things. Listen, what did we say? We said, "Mo, your corners are going to be in trouble." His corners were in trouble. We said, Swerve and Irvin's going to have some big plays. Swerve and Irvin had some big plays. We said, look out for MVS deep. MVS, if he would have caught those other 2 passes, he would have destroyed him even worse. The only thing I got wrong was Tanyan. I said Tanyan's going to be a monster. Tanyan did absolutely nothing. And I said Aaron Jones would be a monster, but he wasn't even in the freaking game half the time. So I don't know what's going on with that. But all the stuff we do, and we also says defensive line. There's like no pressure on Aaron Rodgers. None. Yeah. And then we also said we were worried about right tackle. We were, and we were right. I said we were going to play Jenkins at right tackle, possibly, but who the heck knows? We don't even know what's going on. So a lot of things we told Mo to look out for happened. So hey, it's his own fault.
It was just hilarious.
He didn't believe us. Next time, you know, maybe we know some stuff. Maybe we know some stuff.
And he probably should be.
Mo's a good guy.
He probably should be concerned about AJ Dillon's legs because the couple times he got to use him, he looked good.
He needs to get it more.
I know.
I'm sorry. Jamal Williams is just, I don't get it.
I mean, it should probably be like.
If I was a defensive coordinator, okay, let me ask you a question. You're the defensive coordinator of the Lions.
Yep. I'm Matt.
You just called the defensive play. You're Matt Patricia, and you just saw Jamal Williams come into the game at running back. Are you worried?
No, I'm I'm playing pass. I'm playing pass the whole time.
Yeah. And then not only that, but if you had AJ Dillon, all right, my connection's all wacky, but if you had any of those other 3 guys, even Swerve and Irvin, I'd be scared. You got to look out for some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Williams, you don't have to look out for him. It's like having another offensive lineman out there. Are you really worried about that guy? I know it sounds mean, but I'm not worried about him. I would be worried.
No, not at all. He's not very shifty. He's not very fast. I mean, he's a solid blocker. I'll give him that. And he's got decent hands. He'll make some catches. That's good. Pretty heady. You know, he's a pretty smart player. So those are all good attributes to have in a backup guy who gets, you know, some snaps once in a while, but not in a guy that's on the field, you know, 40% of the time or whatever. Especially when you got your stud second round pick, get him in there, give him 10 to 12 carries, Jones 15 to 18 carries, and that should be it.
Yeah.
And throw the ball around the yard. Let A-Rod go. Let him unleash it. All right. Friday night, we'll be back. Thanks, Ben. Thanks to you for hanging out with us tonight. Thanks for circulating our channel, subscribing, watching, liking, commenting. You guys take it easy. We will catch you real soon on Hafeman Bros channel. Okay, I'm out.